Wow, so Donald Trump got absolutely destroyed today. He decided to attend a football game with a flyover. I'll just tell you guys, he got booed like nuts. Let's watch this together.
I, and say your name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies.
There's so much about the Trump presidency that doesn't feel real. It's like surreal, this stuff. Here's a wider view. They put him on the Jumbotron. Here's a wider view. And what it is, and this is the crazy thing. There's people joins the military, which, right, they're there on the field, and normally you would swear them in and people would cheer, and, this is what you would do. But, like, Trump tries to take credit and politicize everything, and this is what you get. You just got crazy boos. Then he's got his team up there, and they're trying to get y'all to clap. Watch this. Isn't this the craziest thing, though? And this is the reality that we're in. This is the timeline that we're stuck on. I do want to address this, though, because the optics have been bad for Trump lately. And Fox News is reporting there might be a deal in the Senate on the shutdown. It doesn't mean the government would open right away. It's still got to get through the House. But this is from Fox. They say Republicans and enough Senate Democrats have reached a deal to end the government shutdown after 40 days. So I think the combination of the bad optics right before Thanksgiving, right, heading into the holidays, and the airports and the airlines were, struggling with delays and cancellations. CBS then says, day 40 of the government shutdown, a deal has been reached in the Senate. A source familiar with the deal told CBS. So this is going right now. I'm just showing you different things on this. This is from my home state, the Oregonian. They're saying U.S. Senate nears potential shutdown deal. Again, this is the Senate, not the House.
Because I think it is important that the American people fully understand what is being voted on today. Everybody in America knows that our current healthcare system is broken, it is dysfunctional, it is cruel, it is by far the most expensive healthcare system in the world, and the only healthcare system of any major country that does not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right, covering every man, woman, and child. We are unique in that respect. And yet tonight, what this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear what this vote is about. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this country, for certain groups of people, it will be a tripling and a quadrupling.
Basically trying to blow away the storm. There's actually a storm in Canada. But what I mean to say is that don't think everything is solved overnight, because what it sounds like to me, and I was reading through this stuff, this is CNBC, they're just talking about, what's going on with the possible deal. It sounds more like a stopgap. Maybe they're going to fund the government till January, and then they'll try to work on some more stuff again. Now, if you check on what Democrats are saying, though, some are not for this at all. So let me show you. So this is my home state, Oregon, talking about Congresswoman Dexter says, I didn't spend 20 years saving lives to sit back in Congress while Republicans decimate our healthcare system. The deal being negotiated in the Senate to reopen the government does nothing to lower healthcare costs for a single Oregonian. Taking Republicans at their word that they'll address healthcare costs later isn't compromise, it's a betrayal of the values of Oregonians sent me to Congress to fight for. So that's a representative from Oregonian. Again, I'm from Oregon, so I'm just showing the Oregon point of view here. This is Senator Ron Wyden. He says, my red line has always been lowering health costs for Americans. Donald Trump and Republicans don't want an agreement that meets that bar. I'm a no. So not everyone necessarily is on board with this. This is also from Gavin Newsom, his office. He says, pathetic. This isn't a deal. It's a surrender. Don't bend the knee. And there's been reported again. You're hearing various sources saying that they've got something here. Mark Warner, senator, says the Trump administration begged the Supreme Court to let it stop giving families food benefits. Now they're trying to claw back what they already paid. Why are they so hell-bent on making sure families can't afford dinner? And then you also have Senator Chris Van Hollen says, I voted 7 times to reopen the government in a way that holds Trump accountable for his lawlessness and prevents a healthcare crisis. I'm prepared to work toward a compromise, but this, quote, deal before us does not come close to meeting those terms, voting no. And then also you got here Governor Pritzker, supposed to be Illinois, says this is not a deal, it's an empty promise. Trump and his Republicans are making healthcare more expensive for the middle class and ending it for working families. Time for the Democrats to stand tall for affordable health care. And then Elizabeth Warren just tweeted this out just a few minutes ago. I will not support a deal that does nothing to make health care more affordable. We're in a healthcare emergency. A single 1-year extension of these tax credits would cost less than Donald Trump's $40 billion bailout for Argentina. A vote for this bill is a mistake. So I'll just say this. The reports that I looked at, they're claiming, this would be from Fox and such, are claiming they've got 61 votes. That's the claim. It's going right now, so I'll keep you guys updated. But I did want to show you that not everyone's on board with this, and then it's also got to go through the House. My personal opinion is if they do something, I think what CNBC was mentioning where maybe they'll fund it till January and we'll start this fight up again. I think that's probably what's going to happen because regardless of where you are and you know, be it Democrat, Republican, or neutral, or whatever, the optics of having a shutdown during the holiday season and not paying people, it's bad. It's bad all around, right? I think this is just polling data here. I think Trump and the Republicans are going to take the biggest hit in terms of the polls. You just saw it in the last election. I mean, it's just reality, right? The Democrats swept the last election in all the major races. Going into midterms, Republicans are in a really bad shape. And then essentially what you're going to come out of this, and I'm just telling you how both sides are going to play it, they're going to try to claim victory, right? Either side will say, oh, we won here, we won there, whatever. But at the end of the day, for any of these things, as we talked about in the last video, say with Wes Moore, the governor from Maryland, they're talking about like whether or not the money, you know, is there for food for people. And you need to know that like your own situation. Don't let someone else tell you, hey, everything's cheap and you're winning. Like, you know your own situation. And so that's why I always ask you yourself, like, tell me what's going on the ground. Like Trump may say this, right? Another politician may say this, whatever, but what's actually happening on the ground? So, you know, from what I can tell, I think they're going to try to get something done today. And then they'll go to the House. So then try to get it before Thanksgiving. I've said before, I think that might be a real deadline. And then this is Tammy Duckworth. She says, Senator Duckworth, Trump and Republicans refuse to fight for American families, but I refuse to give up on them. I simply cannot vote to do nothing to protect them from Trump's vindictive efforts in exchange for a vague promise from the least trustworthy Republican Party in our nation's history. This is the time to keep fighting, to bring costs down, and protect the American people. So then these are the recent headlines, just so we're up to date. Senate on track to pass funding deal that could end government shutdown. So we're not there yet. This is just in the Senate. And then you got this from the Washington Post. Senate moves toward deal to end shutdown, but hurdles remain. The proposal under discussion doesn't include more funding for ACA subsidies. If a bill is passed by the Senate, it needs to go to the House, and then Trump needs to be on board. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on this one. What do you think? And I'll catch you all in the next video.